Hundreds of people are stranded after torrential rain and landslides triggered by Typhoon Khanun. Taiwan's 3 presidential candidates look to tackle high housing prices.
This art has been created in response to sexual violence. I'm in Taichung to find out how activists are using works like this to get a conversation going about Me Too.
Plus, a tale of 2 cities. Taiwan's capital, Taipei, gets its own little Hong Kong. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao. 1 person is dead and hundreds are stranded in central and southern Taiwan. That's after massive flooding and landslides brought about by a recent typhoon destroyed roads and cut remote communities off from the outside world. Harrell Hughes has more.
Collapsed roads, downed electrical lines, a gas station buried in a landslide. This is Renai Township, a mainly indigenous area in the mountains of central Taiwan. On Friday, it was hit by torrential rain brought about by Typhoon Khanun. What followed was intense flooding and landslides that have left at least 1 dead and 1 missing. More than 500 people in central Nantao County and Kaohsiung in the south are stranded or in difficult-to-reach areas, and hundreds more have lost power. Taiwan's government sent out search and rescue teams over the weekend and on Monday. The National Fire Agency deployed over 100 personnel and rescue dogs to assist with the effort. They are also using helicopters to deliver supplies and reach more remote areas.
今早6点28分呢，透过空军总队的直升机运补物资500公斤，将会分送到这4处人员受困的地点。另外也调挂1名孕妇到南投体育场来送医。
Local volunteer groups have also mobilized, sourcing donations and other supplies for those in need.
奶粉，然后还有小朋友的尿布跟大人的尿布。目前有些部落是缺电、缺水，所以大部分的话应该就是干粮啊、泡面啊、罐头啊这种，就是不需要去煮。还有那个水，就是民生用水，所以就是也蛮缺矿泉水的。
For now, the focus is on rescue and relief, but it's unclear how long it will take to rebuild connections with some of Taiwan's most remote and vulnerable communities, and how to prevent disasters like this from happening again. Devin Tsai and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's housing prices are in the spotlight as the countdown to next year's election hits the 5-month mark. A campaign stops this weekend. Candidates put forward their visions for how to make housing more affordable. But while they share some ideas, there's no sign of a softening in partisanship. John Van Trieste has this update.
Taiwan's 3 presidential candidates took to the same stage in Taichung on Saturday to address young voters' concerns. At the top of the list, high housing prices. All 3 said they want to build more social housing and change the tax system to encourage affordable housing. All 3 aim to tame home prices that are among the world's highest in terms of GDP per capita. But while their platforms may intersect in places, by Sunday they were reasserting party lines. Lai Ching-te of the ruling DPP once expanded loans for young people and rental subsidies. He told a crowd of supporters about his troubles buying his first home. Lai's Kuomintang rival, Ho You-yi, though, says taxing house hoarders and making the rental market more transparent are key. He criticized DPP loans and subsidies.
把特别预算变成常态化，而且举债超过国民党政府的所有的举债很多嘛。最重要的，你把整个财政纪律都破坏掉，再留子孙，不是安尼俩，我反而再留增生了。
Ko Wen-je of the Taiwan People's Party, for his part, promised social housing, tax reform, and rental subsidies. But despite similarities to his opponents, he criticized both, calling on voters to make his the first third party in history to win Taiwan's presidency.
30年来，蓝绿无法落实给人民的承诺，这一次就让台湾民众党让柯文哲启动政治革新。
With January's election just 5 months away, even areas of agreement are stoking partisan differences. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Former Japanese Prime Minister Aso Taro has arrived in Taiwan. Aso is leading a delegation of Japanese lawmakers on a 3-day trip. He is scheduled to speak at a security forum on Tuesday and meet with President Tsai Ing-wen and other senior Taiwanese officials. He's the first active deputy chair of his party, the LDP, to visit Taiwan since Japan broke ties with the country in 1972. Chip giant TSMC has hit a roadblock in its plans to produce advanced chips in central Taiwan. The company is set to create 2-nanometer chips at a new plant in Taichung, but according to the Economic Daily News, work has halted pending a review by Taichung city government this month. TSMC's plans are part of an expansion of the Central Taiwan Science Park. It's expected to take up 7% of the city's water and 24% of its electricity. Officials are expected to weigh these numbers against the needs of Taichung's residents and other businesses.
That's quite a bit. However, both Taipower and Taiwater say that they can accommodate this. There are competing interests for the local city government here in Taichung. Obviously, having the most advanced chip fab in the world is a very big prestige element to it.
Police in Cambodia have busted a suspected drug smuggling group led by a Taiwanese ringleader. 6 people were arrested in Phnom Penh in late July after a joint operation between authorities from Cambodia, Taiwan, and the U.S. Almost 800 kilograms of ketamine and several vehicles were seized. The suspected head of the smuggling network, a Taiwanese man named Chen, fled to Cambodia in 2021 after he allegedly killed a drug runner. Police in Taiwan say they're looking into other activities the group may have been involved in.
诚信犯嫌是天道盟不倒会的大哥，同时呢，另名犯嫌段姓犯嫌也是驻联邦名人会的重要成员。那整个集团幕后由帮派来操控，我们会持续的来溯源追查。
A Me Too wave has swept Taiwan in recent weeks. Several high-profile figures have been caught up in it. But how much has it changed women's daily lives? Louise Watt finds out.
Carita Lin is teaching people what they should do if they see sexual harassment. She says Taiwanese are less likely to intervene if they see someone being harassed.
They see this as problems in our communities rather than, oh, I want to help. So I make people think, what if this happened to your daughter, to your family, to your friends? What would you do?
It's a subject she knows all too well. Lin was stalked for a year by an ex-boyfriend. The experience pushed her to become Taiwan's first certified Green Dot trainer, a bystander intervention program that originated on university campuses in the US. She says interest in her workshops has grown as Taiwan has been rocked by its biggest Me Too wave. A Netflix drama with a sexual harassment subplot sparked a wave of real-life allegations. That pushed Taiwan's government to amend laws to protect victims of abuse. But activists say it's going to take more than the threat of large fines and prison time to effect lasting social change. Organisers are holding this event in Taichung City in central Taiwan because they say sexual harassment is still largely a taboo subject outside the capital, and they want to get more people, men, women, young and old, talking about it. The venue is decorated with paintings, organised by Hedgehog, a group dedicated to helping survivors of intimate relationship violence to express their trauma through art. Co-founder Zhou Yueqi herself suffered domestic violence.
你可以从他身上的一些物件发现他可能跟一些受迫、一些他不想要有的，像这种18加，然后像这个是那个暂停键跟播放键，就是他可能有一些影片被外流，或者是有一些照片被拍下来，这是他不愿意的。
Visitors to the exhibition and workshop are encouraged to share their own experiences and thoughts on postcards. Organisers say these are things they might not feel able to say out loud.
我们希望透过艺术让更多人知道， 他们所经历的事，有一个人有一群人，有一个人愿意相信他们经历的事情是真的，也愿意带着他们，不只是说出自己的伤，还要能够复原。
It's all about coming together to stop such intimate violence. And while organisers are grateful to the Me Too movement for bringing attention to sexual harassment, their goal is for lasting change, a society that stands up to abuse. Alex Chen and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Taipei is holding a Hong Kong cultural festival, which began with a walking tour of the capital's Little Hong Kong. Rick Liao reports on the relationship between Taiwan and China's troubled city.
Hong Kong migrant Oprah organised this guided tour of what's become known in Taiwan as Little Hong Kong, a neighbourhood with a growing number of Hong Kong cafes, shops and restaurants. Oprah wants to share her culture with people in her new home.
我们也在这2-3年特别多的香港人来到台湾，他们可能是拿着在香港不一样的专业，然后不一样的文化，然后可能是共同的东西，只是我们生长的环境跟我们学的东西都不一样。
Behind this recent jump in migration is Beijing's political crackdown on Hong Kong, a special administrative region that has struggled against China's authoritative policies. Many Hong Kongers moved to Taiwan for the freedom and democracy now vanishing in their homeland. But Taiwan has a complicated relationship with Hong Kong. After more than 150 years, the former British colony was returned to China in 1997, while Taiwan is a self-ruled island nation that Beijing claims as part of its territory. Now, Taiwan authorities view people from Hong Kong with the same suspicion as those from the rest of China.
So there's a gap. They say they are welcome, but they don't know how to do could fit national security issue and also their welcome, their friendly attitude. So the result become, it seems very unfriendly to Hong Kong people.
Taiwan's government is now considering making it harder for the tens of thousands of recent Hong Kong arrivals to become permanent residents, by extending the length of time they must live in the country before they can apply.
So I heard that a lot of Hong Kong people came here very enthusiastically and very excitedly, but left Taiwan because of the situation, or the policy is quite unclear for them, or they can't see the future of staying in Taiwan.
This old Taipei neighbourhood is settling into its new popularity as a centre for Hong Kong cuisine and culture. The troubled city, 700 kilometres away, is making its mark on Taiwan, even as authorities here seem uncertain about how to deal with the influx of Hong Kongers. Scott Huang and Rick Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, Japan remembers the bombing of Hiroshima. Stay tuned.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world. Charted by the freest country in Asia.
5, 4, 3, 2.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Ian Kavat. Taiwanese semiconductor giant TSMC.
Public buses to be electric by 2030. A mission that begins with listening.
And telling the stories of Taiwan.
In Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Drawing insight from original thinkers.
And sharing it with the world. TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. It's been 78 years since the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the southern Japanese city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, another bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. The two attacks led to the end of World War II. Bing Wong has more.
Ringing the temple bell to mark 78 years since the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima in southern Japan, the first of two nuclear bombs that led to the end of World War II. Tens of thousands of survivors and Japanese officials took a moment of silence. At the memorial, Japan's Prime Minister Kishida Fumio bows to honor the 140,000 people killed in Hiroshima by the bombing and its aftermath. It's also a remembrance of the beginning of the global nuclear arms race. Japan is the only country in history to have been the victim of atomic bomb attacks. Kishida took the opportunity to address the global community on the importance of a nuclear-free world.
このような状況だからこそ、核兵器のない世界の実現に向け、国際的な機運を今一度呼び戻すことが重要です。
Since they were first used, nuclear weapons have gotten stronger and more destructive. In the aftermath of World War II, countries developed their own nuclear weapons, leading to an arms race. Despite international attempts to cease nuclear proliferation and testing, there are still countries, including Russia and North Korea, that threaten to use nuclear weapons.
世界中の指導者は核抑止論は破綻しているということを直視し、私たちを厳しい現実から理想へと導くための具体的な取り組みを早急に始める必要があるのではないでしょうか。
Across the world, people took to the streets calling for a nuclear-free world and warning against another world war. The survivors are all elderly, and as fewer of them remain to speak about the horrors, it is hoped their memories will live on the face of growing nuclear threats. Joseph Wu and Bing Wong for TaiwanPlus.
China has ordered the Philippines to remove a grounded warship in the South China Sea. This is after Beijing blocked two Philippine vessels by blasting them with a water cannon. The incident occurred on Saturday near the second Thomas Shoal. This area is claimed by several countries, but it is occupied by the Philippine military. The country's Coast Guard says it was escorting ships with supplies on their way to the shoal when a nearby Chinese Coast Guard ship fired a water cannon at the vessels. The South China Sea is one of the most contested areas in the world and sees more than 1/3 of all global trade pass through its sea lanes. Saturday's incident isn't the first time the Philippines and China has clashed in the South China Sea. For more on the situation, our reporter Jaime Ocon spoke to security expert Ray Powell from the Gordian Knot Center for National Security Innovation based at Stanford University.
I wanted to first start off by asking, how common are incidents like these?
Well, in the Philippine part of the South China Sea, or what they call the West Philippine Sea, they're becoming almost a regular occurrence. So these resupply missions out to Second Thomas Shoal happen every 45 days or so. They bring out fresh troops, they bring out some food and some medicine, those kinds of things that they need out there. And they are being blockaded by a regular, they've got China Coast Guard and Maritime Militia that are stationed out of Mischief Reef, 30 kilometers away. And they are blockading the Philippine outposts and have been actually for over 10 years.
Previously, we've seen China reportedly flash a military-grade laser at a Philippine vessel, and now we're seeing this water cannon incident. What is China hoping to gain from conducting this type of behavior?
Well, ultimately, what they're trying to do is outlast the Philippines at Second Thomas Shoal. The Sierra Madre is an old U.S. World War II ship that they had acquired. So they ran it aground and to serve as their outpost at Second Thomas Shoal. And so Beijing would like that to go away so that they can take control of that shoal. And so what their strategy is essentially to let it decompose. I think that the reason that it has become such a flashpoint is because it is the only place in the South China Sea where one country is blockading another country. So there's no other outpost anywhere where China, in this case, is blockading the Philippines from resupplying its own outpost.
Looking at this footage, you can see the size of this Chinese Coast Guard ship is much bigger than the Philippine vessel, and China has been stepping up its presence in this region. Is there anything that the Philippines can do to prevent accidents or incidents like these from happening?
Yeah, and I think that the Philippines is doing what it can do, and that is to bring this attention very visually and graphically to the world, right? So it is getting a lot of expressions of support from a number of important partners, from the EU to India to Australia. And of course, its US ally has come out repeatedly now to emphasize that an attack on any Philippine vessel or outpost does trigger provisions of the Mutual Defense Treaty between the US and the Philippines. So the Philippines is using its best leverage, which is its treaty alliance with the United States and its international security relationships.
That was Ray Powell, a security expert with the Gordian Knot Center for National Security Innovation at Stanford University, speaking with our reporter Jaime Okan. Taiwan's military is raising the number of military police stationed in the capital city, Taipei. The Defense Ministry said that it will double the number of military police in Taipei from 5,000 to 10,000 by January. The move was announced in a statement on Monday. It's part of an effort to improve security in the capital city to prevent an attack where an enemy force seizes control of the government. The headquarters of Taiwan's new carbon exchange opened its doors in Kaohsiung on Monday. The Taiwan Carbon Solution Exchange is part of the country's push to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. A total of $47 billion has been pledged by the Taiwan Stock Exchange and the National Development Fund to run the facility. Its services include carbon consultancy, education, and training for businesses. It will also help local firms through the process of carbon credit training in line with regulations and policies set by the Climate Change Response Act. People attending this year's World Scout Jamboree in South Korea are vacating their campsite a week early due to weather. Organizers said Monday the 43,000 participants from 158 countries need to leave the area before Typhoon Khanun arrives. Even before the storm, the event on the country's west coast has been plagued with problems. High temperatures caused 400 cases of heat stroke over the weekend. Campers also complained of mosquitoes all over the site. Organizers say 340 shelters across the country have been set aside for those leaving the camp. Taiwan was already in the process of pulling its scouts out of the event when the evacuation announcement was made.
这里的原因是第一个台风也要到，也有一些部分不是全部的部分团员的适应的问题，所以我们要跟大会正式提出撤离的要求。
In sports, Taiwan's team is not playing in the FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand, but the women's team is training hard for another shot at glory in September's Asian Games. Suvan Paul reports.
Losing a make-or-break playoff match cost Taiwan its World Cup qualification. But now, the team is training hard to hit another goal in Kaohsiung. Under their new coach from Hong Kong, Chan Hu-ming, the Taiwan women's football team is trying to raise the bar.
Actually, because last Asian game in Indonesia, we got the 4th positions. So all of our players and also I think most of the guys who work in Taiwan football, we expected at least to keep the result like last Asian game.
Once a women's soccer powerhouse, Taiwan is currently ranked 37 in the world by FIFA and 6th in Asia. That's behind Australia, Japan, China, South Korea and Vietnam. But the team, known by the nickname Mulan or sometimes the Blue Magpies, almost made it to the World Cup this year before losing against Paraguay in a tiebreaker. Taiwan's women's soccer team missed out on qualification for the World Cup happening right now in New Zealand and Australia. But they seem to have left that disappointment behind. And right now, they're gearing up for the upcoming Asian Games in China's Hangzhou. The Taiwanese women's team had its best historic performance at the Asian Games nearly 30 years ago. That's when they took bronze at the 1994 Hiroshima Asian Games. Since then, it's been misses and disappointments. But this time, they're grouped with Thailand and India and are aiming to do better.
I just come here for a few months, and we didn't have any international game, training game before. So for me, I have a lot of alone how about how we perform in the game?
To make up for that lack of match experience, the team are practicing real game situations. This cutting-edge device is connected to sensors worn by the players, which tracks statistics like heart rate, running speed, and distance run. It enables coaches to measure the fitness and performance of players. But ultimately, the team has to score goals in real matches if they're hoping to make it to the podium in China. Wesley Austuzin, Alex Chen, and Shubham Pal for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan has claimed a silver medal at the U12 Baseball World Cup. 12 countries converged on Tainan City to compete in the two-week tournament for players under age 12. Taiwan was on a winning streak until its last two games, both of which were lost to the U.S. team. The U.S. beat Taiwan 10-4 in the final round to clinch the gold medal. The U12 Baseball World Cup is sanctioned by the world governing body for the sport, the WBSC. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of the World Dog Surfing Championships in California. Just look at those doggos go. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.